here for the view. The view is spectacular. But I can show you New York City virtually, and by waving my arm, I can bring up the city of the past, tell you some stories from throughout New York City's history at every hour of the day, and using City Pulse, I can virtually navigate through New York City's many neighborhoods. All right, yes, this man controls a computer by waving his arms. I have a Mayo here, that's the secret. Let's start with the map. We'll refer to this, but mostly we'll refer to what's outside the window. This glowing blue dot is One World Trade Center, a new tower on the World Trade Center site. When I say World Trade Center, you think two towers. No, the World Trade Center was 7 buildings, numbered 1 through 7, all destroyed on September 11, 2001. On the same site, the same 16-acre site, the same 8-hectare site, we are not rebuilding the World Trade Center. We are building a new, better, different, stronger, more vibrant World Trade Center. And of all the buildings on this site, this one is the symbolic tower. Mostly office space, 3 million square feet of office space. But this building has the dimensions of the Twin Towers built into it. Base size, 200 by 200 feet, same size as each of the towers, and a squared off glass roof, exactly the same height as the Twin Towers. And we added an extra piece on top of that, called a spire, which takes the total height, the architectural height, up to 1776 feet, the year of the Declaration of Independence. Talk about symbolism, a memory of the Twin Towers, and the birthday of the United States. But mostly, what this building says is on this site, we're going to build again, and we are going to continue into the future. All around us, from this observatory, the observatory is above the glass floors, getting near the top. You see some gray vertical stripes. Those are called mechanical floors. They're right below us. You're on floor 100, just above those stripes, at 1,254 feet, 382 meters. And from this altitude, you can see a long way. Out there, the horizon 41 miles away, 65 kilometers. Over in that direction, that ridge in the far distance, 54 miles, 87 kilometers. Great, spectacular clear views today. And we will have a very clear view of the sunset, which takes place in 1 hour and 20 minutes, about 4:30 p.m. New York City is defined as having 5 boroughs. All that means is 5 counties of New York State. New York State goes from here to Canada, 62 counties, the 5 southernmost counties of New York City. Manhattan, the smallest of those 5 boroughs. It's a little island with 1.6 million people living on it. On the other side of the East River, over this way, is a much bigger island than Manhattan. You can't even see how big it is. It starts at that bridge there, and it goes 120 miles that way, 200 kilometers long. It's called Long Island. This end of Long Island has 2 boroughs of New York City built on it. Brooklyn, right across here, population 2.6 million. Essentially the same population as Chicago, the 3rd largest city in the United States. To the left of that is Queens, 2.3 million people, same population as Houston, Texas, the 4th largest city in the United States. Brooklyn and Queens are not cities, however. They are just parts of New York City, the scale, the size of the 3rd and 4th largest cities. The Verrazano Narrows Bridge connects Brooklyn on the left side with Staten Island on the right side. Staten Island runs all the way across the far side of the water over to about that direction. It's twice the size of Manhattan with only 500,000 people. Yes, we say only 500,000 people around here. Up that way, past the skyscrapers, is the Bronx. And the Bronx has 1.4 million people. The Bronx is surrounded by water on 3 sides. It's a peninsula. It is the only borough of New York City that is not built on an island. New York City, 8.6 million people living on a peninsula and an island group off the east coast of the continental United States. What a crazy idea! Until you realize that New York City is here because of the water. It grew up next to the water. Dutch merchants sailed across the Atlantic Ocean, that's the Atlantic out there, sailed through the Verrazano Narrows 400 years ago, tied their ships up at the tip of Manhattan, built a little trading town called New Amsterdam, and ever since then, for 400 years, this has been the busiest seaport on the Atlantic coast. And this city is now the financial capital of the United States because of worldwide trade. We're here because of the water. Over this way, Hudson River, and on the other side of the Hudson, all that stuff out there is the state of New Jersey, from the river out to the horizon. New Jersey, the most densely populated state in the United States, part of the metropolitan area. Let's just pick one of these. A lot of people refer to subway maps. See them up here all the time trying to compare subway maps to what's outside the window. Subway maps are no use for that. Subway maps show Staten Island as being right off the tip of Manhattan. Well, no, it's not. It's way out there. This is Governor's Island. Former United States military base for 200 years. Lots of old military buildings, forts, barracks, offices, houses. A beautiful place. The military moved out about 20 years ago. New York City took it over and turned it into a public park. Next time you come to New York City, during the summer months, visit Governor's Island. It's only open for the 6 months of the year during the warmer months, and these are not the warmer months. Let's go a little bit deeper. Lots of topics. In fact, I've got 100 different topics. I'm going to go into here. I did choose this last time, but in here I've got 10 different topics. And what I'm going to help you with is sort of helping understand a little bit more about the geography of New York City. How do you connect 8.6 million people living on a bunch of islands? Well, the answer's right here, bridges and tunnels. We have world-class engineering. The Verrazano Narrows Bridge, the longest suspension bridge in the United States, longer than Golden Gate. Down at the tip of Manhattan, we have 2 tunnels. One on the right, Battery Underpass, just zips around under the trees, no big deal, connects the 2 sides of Manhattan. The one on the left, under the big brown blockhouse, that's the big deal. Longest underwater road tunnel in the United States of America. It dives down through the bedrock, under the harbor, turns left, pops up in Brooklyn. Brooklyn Battery Tunnel, 3 kilometers long, 9,000 feet long. Over here, on the Hudson River, we have, if you look up these windows, next windows, you're going to see piers coming out with brick buildings on the end of them. Right? That's a mechanical marvel. In 1927, a tunnel, a road tunnel, the first road tunnel from the continent to Manhattan was built. The problem was how to keep people alive down there with those car exhausts. They invented a system with 88 fans blowing and sucking air out of pressurized chambers and air change about every 90 seconds. The Holland Tunnel was the world's first mechanically vented road tunnel. So we invented that right here in New York City. Over this way, the Brooklyn Bridge. I think there's a picture of it right up the top here with the Gothic arches. There it is. The Brooklyn Bridge is the famous one, and it's famous, justly famous, the first ever bridge across the East River. And to do that, when it opened in 1883, they had to invent new materials, the first use of steel suspension cables in a suspension bridge. They had to make it 50% longer than any previous suspension bridge. It was considered to be the 8th wonder of the world, and you could walk across it. Choose a warm day like Sunday, all right? Next bridge, Manhattan Bridge. Next one, Williamsburg Bridge. You can walk across every bridge in New York City except the Verrazano. One of my favorites is actually the Manhattan Bridge. And if you come across to this side, you're looking down from the ramp down into Chinatown. I love those views, looking down into Chinatown. Further up the East River, we have other bridges, other tunnels. There are a total of 23 bridge and tunnel crossings through and over the East River. 23 of them. Now here's something to think about. New York City is a city built on the water. The 5 boroughs of New York City have 500 miles of coastline. 800 kilometers of coastline. Really good for tying ships up. Really bad with storm surges and hurricanes. Hurricane Sandy came barreling in off the Atlantic Ocean in 2012, pushing a 14-foot wall of water ahead of a storm surge that flooded everything you can see, flooded 13 tunnels, and we are still trying to repair those. We're in deep trouble. The tunnels, the Amtrak tunnels, which connect the continental United States to the financial capital of the United States, are going to be shut down shortly, and we need to repair them. But we can't repair them because there's too much train traffic. We need to build other tunnels and then shut them down. And so what's going on right now is there's no money to do it, and so New York City will be cut off from the railway network of the United States. Sad stuff. George Washington Bridge. If you look up the Hudson River, you're going to see this beautiful bridge in the distance. Not the biggest, but the busiest road bridge on Earth. 108 million vehicles per year, 14 lanes of traffic. Congestion, just congestion. George Washington Bridge is a beautiful bridge, but I hate to drive across it. Almost 10 years ago, January 2009, an Airbus airliner took off from LaGuardia Airport, over here on the other side of the East River. Captain Chesley Sullenberger, First Officer Jeff Skiles, they took off. They were climbing on a normal climb out to the north, heading away from us at 2,800 feet, twice this altitude. They flew through a flock of geese, and their plane stopped producing power. Airplanes, all airplanes, fly perfectly well without engines. They just don't fly very far. So their choice is where to land. They turned, forget all the other stuff in the movie, it's all false. They turned and headed towards the Hudson River, came right by the George Washington Bridge coming towards us, and touched down in the middle of the Hudson River, right by that collection of big towers there, Hudson Yards, touched down right there coming towards us, a perfect landing. Captain Sullenberger had an article in the Washington Post a couple of weeks ago, and Captain Sullenberger said there was no miracle involved. It wasn't a miracle. This was an instance of what happens when you have highly trained, professional people working together for a successful outcome. And it was completely successful. All passengers, all crew were off, and a lot of that comes to, a lot of gratitude has to go towards the ferry captains and crews who are out there in 4 minutes taking people off the wings of the plane. I was an eyewitness to that, one of the most remarkable things I've ever seen. Let's finish with a little list here for you. All sorts of things going on, as always, in New York City. We try to find things that are not crazy expensive. All sorts of holiday markets. Bryant Park, 5 minutes from Times Square. Grand Central Terminal, an indoor holiday market. Brooklyn Museum. This is going on every day. You want to go onto their website and just get a pass to go to that. A great holiday market, first time they're doing that. Holiday markets in Union Square. So all over New York City, these parks and places have holiday markets. And a lot of the stuff is New York-made goods. Tonight, the Museum of Modern Art is free, as it is every Friday night. That's the worst time to go. Too many people. Next one down. The Metropolitan Museum and the Whitney Museum are open till 10 o'clock tonight and tomorrow night. Those are the ones to go to. The Met, because it's the greatest art museum in the Americas, and because the best time to visit is on a Friday or Saturday night. Not saying naughty people, they all go away and get hungry. The Whitney Museum has a great show, Andy Warhol retrospective. It's on now. It's once in a lifetime. Artworks by Andy Warhol being borrowed from private collectors and other museums that are being shown there, and when those go away, the show's done. You'll never see it again. You gotta go see that, if you like modern art. And who doesn't? Here we go, New Yorkers. Lots of strange faces. New York City, 8.6 million people, 3 million of us foreign born, that's 37%. And when you first arrive here, I guess,